Welcome to the High Fae Housewives podcast. I'm Blakely.
And I'm Kylie.
We're currently working towards our Maasters in the Maasverse. Our current course is focused on A Court of Wings and Ruin, which is the third book of Sarah J. Maas's ACOTAR series. We will cover this book in 3 parts, and today we're discussing chapters 1 through 27. You can expect a spoiler-free summary at the top of the episode, and then we'll break it all down with our theories and connect it with the rest of the Maasverse.
We will have spoilers for Crescent City and Throne of Glass as well. And warning, while we may be your silly gal pals, we don't recommend listening to this podcast around little ears or ears that may be offended because we say bad words and shitty things. Now relax those shoulders, unclench those jaws, clench those clams, and let's get into it.
Chapters 1 through 27. Feyre would have impressed 50 Cent with her pettiness in the spring court. She put on an incredible performance of pretending like the night court and Rhys were terrible, all while plotting to ruin Tamlin's spring court from within. The spring court had some visitors: Jurian, who didn't believe Feyre's bullshit, and 2 Daemati Hybern twins who seemed a little incestuous. Ianthe was up to her normal, terrible antics, and Lulu was biting his tongue because he wanted to see his mate again. She was a nightmare, dressed as a daydream. The incest twins killed children of the blessed. Feyre and Lulu sent the bogey after them, and then Tamlin lost his ever-loving shit on Feyre. Ianthe framed a sentry, Tamlin whipped him, Feyre stood up for them, and all was going according to plan. They left for the wall with the crew. Ianthe was trying to take advantage of Lulu, but Feyre stopped her and made her slam the fuck out of her hand with a rock. The incest twins were up to their own no-good dirty tricks, and they had been magically roofing Feyre, so weakening her magic with Faebane. But her and Lulu were able to fight and kill the little duo. Lulu insisted to go with Feyre to get his mate, but with their magic gone, they had to hoof it to the night court. Well, their journey through the Autumn Court didn't work out as planned. Lulu's brothers were hunting them. Luckily, they were able to get away. Well, for a bit anyway. Once they got to the Winter Court, Eris and the other miserable Autumn bros found them, and guess who else did? Cassian and Azriel. And before they killed the little wretches, Feyre showed her true self, High Lady of the Night Court, and said she would see them on the battlefield, and then winnowed away with the Bat Boys and Lulu. Once back in Velaris, Rhys ravaged her properly like a mate should. They went downstairs, that's what she said, and Rhys told Lucien to mind his P's and Q's. Feyre told him her story, and Rhys gave him some cliff notes, and then they were off to the House of Wind to visit the sisters. Nesta's still a peach, and Elain is pretty much a sad mute. But they got a new roomie. Lulu is staying at the House of Wind. The preparations for war had begun. Hybern greatly outnumbered them, so they were trying to get any help they could. Rhys was going to call a meeting with the High Lords of Prythian, and Amren was still trying to detect what she could from the book. Az was doing spy shit, and Feyre was trying to convince her sisters to help. Nesta agrees to train with Amren as long as the queens and Hybern are dead by the end of the war. Feyre and Cass head to the Bone Carver to try and convince him to join them in the war. He isn't interested in going back home. He's fine in his little prison, but he would consider joining if Feyre could bring him the Ouroboros mirror. But yes, Nesta may have the power of death, and Elain is acting very Luna Lovegood-esque. Off to the Hewn City they go. Hewn City was full of surprises. Eris makes a cameo, Kier asks for access to Velaris, and Rhys surprisingly agrees. And Kier will allow Feyre to have the Ouroboros mirror. As for Eris, he's keeping his mouth shut in exchange for support for the bid for his father's throne. And things may not be what they seem with him. But Mor didn't care. She was hella pissed at Rhys and yelled at him as soon as they got to the townhouse. Amren was also pissy because she found out that they hoped to free the Bone Carver. She explains her lore ever so cryptically. Shit was hard. That's what she said. That's it.
Nicely done.
Thanks.
You mentioned True Colors, and that song just started playing
Yeah.
in my head immediately.
That's the only option.
It can't stop, won't stop.
Don't stop. Get it, get it.
This book starts off with Rhys 2 years before the wall, and it says, 3 days we held them off. 3 days we fought and died here. This was 2 years before the wall. It's giving from Throne of Glass when Rhiannon Crochan held the gates to her city for 3 days and 3 nights against the 3 iron-teeth matrons. Everyone was dead around her, and she kept fighting. Rhys got help from his dad on his 3rd day, where Rhiannon did not. Instead, she cursed 3 matrons in the land and then was killed. I don't know how to explain it, but I know that these are related. I just know. You know, with the whole crown situation, which we'll get into, like...
3 is a number she uses a lot. There's a lot of 3 situations, so I'm with you. I think we're related.
both of them holding the lines for 3 days, that is a very specific action.
Speaking of the number 3, as you know, I'm always trying to prove to the people that the 3 worlds are the same. Now, they mentioned the Black Lands on the continent, and it's said to be in the far east, and it has its isles. Now, we know in Crescent City world, the far east land of Albara is the Black Court Melithanos. Now, we, of course, have no map because Sarah is trying not to spill the beans. But in Throne of Glass on the southern continent, guess what the isles to the east are called? Umbric Isles. To me, sounds a hell of a lot like Umbra, which is like the Umbra Mortis, so meaning shadows and darkness. It all lines up.
No, it's I forget that it's not canon, but it is. It is canon in here, in my
It is
heart.
that, for sure. Like, that's just something I'm not willing to sacrifice.
We're gonna get a map soon. Oh my god, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna fucking lose it when we get the new book, and we're gonna have maps and we can compare them. I'm gonna call you crying.
I won't answer.
You're like, I know this bitch is crying and ready to talk about maps. I am not.
I'm not doing this. Actually, we'll be together.
Oh my god, you get to see me have a meltdown in real time.
Yeah, I'll just record it. Posted it on the interwebs.
Happy birthday. Watch this bitch cry.
Happy birthday. Not happy release day. Happy birthday.
It's the birthday of my happiness, okay?
The birth of ACOTAR 6. Let's get into Archeron 23andMe.
Speaking of births.
Speaking of birth, Archeron 23andMe. Now, like we've said, there's something different about those Archeron girls. There was something different about their mother. And I want to start with this quote before we start breaking down the things we noticed just in these chapters alone. Humans don't have magic. Rhys says some do, usually the ones who can claim distant Fae ancestry. But some of those spells don't require magic from the wielder, only the right words or use of ingredients. Doesn't require magic? This feels pretty fucking witchy to me. I don't know about you.
We can reference that in the oh, man. Yes, it does. It does, Blakely. It does.
Thank you, Kylie.
I didn't say it in a snotty tone. You're welcome.
And then we have Feyres saying, I wasn't sure I'd been born with the ability to forgive. Not for the terrors inflicted on those I love. For myself, I didn't care nearly as much. But there was something fun. There was some fundamental pillar of steel in me that couldn't bend or break in this. Now, reminder, witches and steel in the Maasverse very much go together. Nesta is also someone that steel is very much constantly talked about and referenced in terms of her. In these chapters, fire and steel, it's like this was always in her blood, but the cauldron and turning Fae just enhanced these qualities on top of her, obviously, pillaging the cauldron. She might pilgrimage it. Unclear at this point.
She might do both. She's feeling wild.
And people that hate Feyre or Nesta just know they're actually more.
Hold on. Why? Or Nesta, you look straight at me like I'm like you yourself are Feyre and I'm Nesta. You're like, where's the lie?
If we're two sides of the same coin and one, I'm Feyre and you're Nesta.
Fine. Just a dick move to look up at me for that.
You want to know what? I actually didn't mean to look up at you. It was just like my head going forward. It wasn't even.
No, it's just subconscious. You're like,
maybe. Sometimes the cauldron just tells me what to do. And that. As I was saying, they're more similar than they're not. Reminder, Feyre acted out and said hella shitty things in the first 2 books. And is she as extreme as Nesta? No. But Nesta had her when it came to self-loathing. Like, Feyre couldn't hit that. Nesta really just went hard in the paint with that one. 2 sides of the same coin.
You know, I think, so Nesta's a bitch through these first 3 books. That's not a secret. But she is not as big of a bitch as she is in Frost and Starlight. And
yes.
Everybody seems, not everybody, but a good majority doesn't love that book. So maybe that's where all the Nesta hate truly comes in. They're like, the association with that book. Not even Silver Flame. It is Frost and Starlight that kicks off pissing
Nesta
people
hate.
off. Yeah. I think we
Like,
just solved it.
Nesta is a biggity bitch, all throughout for sure. But me personally, as somebody that might be harder on Nesta, I kind of liked her in these books. Like in this book, in ACOTAR. Like you see the hope for her, and she has hope for herself too. So that's the difference where she doesn't after that.
She literally steps up and she sees Feyre doing good things. She does it too. So she's not bad in these books. She's not a big bitch because we just actually don't get a ton of dialogue from her necessarily.
No, she's busy with Amren.
Yeah. So I think that she gets an unnecessary amount of hate in these books. Once again, makes more sense in Frost and Starlight, but like I think that's where it really stems from.
Yeah, like because in Mist and Fury, she's bitchy, right? Bitchy tendencies. For me, I think it was more the beginning of the first book when I was like, wow, I don't really care for her. She said some not nice things in the little hovel, but I just, yeah, it is maybe book 4 and 5 that people are just like, what a fucking bitch. She's
She's
not
an
bad here.
absolute heinous bitch in Frost and Starlight, and then she just gets railed nonstop in Silver Flame, and so it's just like the juxtaposition's intense.
Well, Cassian had to rail the bitch out of her, you know? That's what he did. Spoiler.
You're not wrong. I don't think we're spoiling much.
No. Just she gets royally fucked. Speaking of someone that doesn't get fucked that often, Elain. Don't know why that was my transition, but that's what we're going with.
Solid.
She's not full of dick, but she's always been so full of light to fill the void that existed where all that light had once been. Now, Elain in Welsh means fawn or deer, but Elain is also a derivative from the Greek Helen, meaning bright, shiny light. So the question is, what can we expect from Elaine's future? What can we expect in Elaine's future? She's currently mated to alleged heir, High Lord of the Day Court. So
Elain meaning light, and I have I have a lot of questions about the Day Court. But with Elain meaning light and all the associations with starlight and the moon and all of that, there's something up. Not like we didn't know that, but like I think
I think
Elain
she'll
might actually
surprise
be cool.
us.
Yes.
I think
Same
she'll
thing, different color.
surprise us. Like, it's a bit now. We were making fun of Elain for her not doing anything and just like no personality. It's a bit. I am excited for her to hopefully prove us wrong.
Once again, I love that you have hope. We've had this conversation before where you really think it will happen, and I'm just like, yeah.
I just think that she has a lot more power than we all know. She might still be boring, non-blonde, but
Who do you think is the most powerful or will be after all of this of the 3 Archeron sisters?
that's difficult because we think that they all have some type of other in their blood originally. Nesta stole stuff, but it gets taken away from her. Feyre has power of all High Lords. I don't fucking know. I don't think Feyre's story's over though. Like I think she's gonna come back more powerful than we've seen her.
I think it's Nesta.
Shocking.
I think they're all powerful in their own right, but I think Nesta has that other in her. Not that they all don't, but just something truly, truly other that she will just always be a little bit more because she's always been different from all of them.
Different, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I noticed neither one of us said Elain.
Really surprised that wasn't your number one. You've been on the
No.
Elain train for at least 5 minutes. I didn't
At
say you were up
least.
front. I said you hopped on.
Yeah, I hopped on the train. I'm hopping off now because we're going to talk about. We have both said there's a relationship with Mala, with Feyre, and probably Nesta. I mentioned that I thought Mala did a cameo, in book 1 to help her with the Naga. Now, on summer solstice, Feyre is watching the stars and says, I watched them through the long hours of celebrating and could have sworn that they kept me company, my silent, stalwart friends. And it reminded me of Throne of Glass when Dorian says, still, the image haunted his dreams throughout the night. A lovely girl gazing at the stars and the stars who gazed right back. There's definitely a connection here. I just feel it because I believe, well, we know that Asteri means star, and I believe that the Throne of Glass gods are actually Asteri.
We're going to keep coming back to like these associations because I make a very similar one.
In book 2 or
I don't even know if it's this episode or later. They're the next
this
episode
book
at this point. It's fucking funny though. Like we really do. We are on the exact same path. We are on parallel paths that are going to intersect. Like our paths keep doing this.
The 2 ships in the night, though. You know, they might, and then they go away.
Yes.
Unclear of my transition, but let's talk about Thanatos. Good old Thanny boy, you know?
I miss Thanny just because I miss Crescent City, which is sick. We were in it for 9 months, but because we were in it for 9 months, it is my comfort blanket.
Is Crescent City your comfort blanket over ACOTAR?
I think that they're different comforts. At this point, I truly do love Crescent City and I love ACOTAR, but in completely different ways.
Yeah.
Truly.
I mean, I love them both too, but don't really miss Crescent City yet. I don't know, because I'm still in it all the time now because of this story. So our buddy Kier makes a little mention. Lord Thanatos is having difficulties with his daughter again. He requires my assistance. So the big holy shit moment. Thanatos. Now we know Thanatos from Crescent City. Kylie's comfort. There's no way it's not the Prince of Souls that he's talking about. Now, in Greek mythology, Thanatos was the personification of death. In Crescent City, we know him of the Prince of Souls, the 4th level of hell, and he's a complete fucking douchebag. He's also one of Hunt's kind of daddies. He has no interest in helping out in the war with the Asteri, but does it for his brothers, begrudgingly. He also very much wants to kill Bryce for killing one of his beasts. So yeah, he sucks. So him being buddy-buddy with Kier and being known as Lord Thanatos, not necessarily surprising. And reminder, when Bryce came to Prythian, she asked about Apollyon and Adis, specifically not Thanatos. Now we know the princes of hell help in different worlds, so it's possible this world is Thanatos' area of expertise. But my vote is the Prince of the Abyss's realm. So the question is how is Kier in contact with Thanatos? If this is Thanatos' area, why would he be buddy-buddy with the steward of the Night Court and not the High Lord? Unless a coup is happening. What if Thanatos is trying to overthrow the other princes? What if Thanatos, like Kier, is feeling stifled?
Would not be surprising considering how resistant he was to his brothers to help with everything. And with my suspicions of the Hewn City being like those
Yes.
are a literal gate, it would be easy access for him.
Very. We know the Night Court in general is like a thin place, like the whole area. So,
I mean, mountains and their passageways, we get into that soon, is just fucking weird. Not to use weird incessantly, trying not to today, but they are. Mountains are weird.
they truly are, though, in the Maasverse. Like, very weird. Now, to add to this, he mentions that Thanatos is having difficulties with his daughter. Now, in our Crescent City coverage, I made the case for Feyre being Thanatos' daughter, because in Greek mythology, Feyres, or known as Eriness, they are responsible for punishing crimes, particularly those involving homicide, and betrayal and offenses against the gods. Now we know there's something other about Fury because Danica sniffed that out as a bloodhound and she had to explain her heritage. Remember, Fury is our intention. Now remember, Fury is our international woman of mystery, and we don't know what her powers are or what type of veneer she is. So maybe she is a test tube baby.
Maybe she freaks the Asteri out because she's not their test tube baby.
Right. She's
Like,
hell baby. Test tube.
They're like how the Illyrians are to Nesta. Like, what are you?
Yes, exactly like that. And I still laugh at our coverage when we came up with the ridiculous, not at all serious, that Thanatos and Amren had a baby, and that's Fury.
It's not impossible. Who's to say? They're in the same court. They didn't have this fucking wild romp. You know, Amren went down there on a night that they were visiting Kier and like scaring the shit out of him. And she got a little too into the fairy wine. They had a baby. They had a baby. She had to hide for maybe her body has accelerated pregnancy.
Just
Because she's
that
a
out.
weirdo. And so she had that super baby, and Thanatos is like, ew, I don't want this, and gave her to Midgard. It was like, nope.
Who's to say? Did you just shoot the baby like a basketball? Because that's what it looked like. It looked like you just Kobe'd that baby.
I don't, it did happen. I have no control.
I need to know you're not supposed to throw babies. Just so.
To be clear, I've never thrown a baby.
Have you shot one?
No, I've never played basketball with like I've never even dropped my child.
So just to add one more thing, probably has zero relevance, but in Roman mythology, Thanatos' counterpart is known as Mors, and she's the female version. Only adding in this fun fact due to Mors being super fucking close to Mor, or known as the Morgan.
Well, you know, she's already been sullied, so maybe she was pregnant with Thanatos' baby. And the baby was cut out of her. And that's why Eris was like, no way, she's pregnant with Thanatos' baby. And he stole the baby.
And that's why that's why Amren and Mor got in that huge fight in the cabin. It was because of Thanny.
It all comes back to, because like we know that wars have started over women. And so this war between Mor and Amren is all over Thanatos because apparently he's a fucking hottie.
I think he's the least hot out of all of them, but at least he has dark hair.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're all fucking hot. So
yeah.
But we solved it. Like Mor had Thanatos' baby, aka she's Fury's mom, which would make her, you know, really magical.
So, you're welcome, guys. What if that somehow ends up being right? Like this ridiculous, off-the-wall bullshit, and it's in ACOTAR 7, not 6, 7. And we're like, wow.
You heard her here first, guys. It is our theory. We came up with that. I don't think I've ever seen that on the internet.
So don't try to steal it, okay?
Well, no, because that's ours for sure.
If one of these podcasts starts saying it, you have to tell us, okay?
Please,
Steelers.
ASAP, because this is one that we hold near and dear to us.
Truly.
Write it down.
Oh, you're putting it down. She's
Hell
literally
yeah.
writing it now. Okay.
I don't want to forget this moment ever.
It is 9:47 on 7/17. Disneyland's birthday.
And we made the most major ACOTAR discovery that we have to this day.
Yeah.
Go us.
There you go.
I have an apology to make. I said Alice kind of sucked the last book, but Tree McGee is cool here. So
yeah.
My apology. Her saying, I never bothered to tell them that I think you came back right at last. And knows that Rhys is a homie. Like, Alice is fucking cool in this moment. She was cool all along. She's just kind of bitchy. She's got a toot.
I just feel Like Philippa and Alice are similar vibes.
Maybe
They're both
she's
bitchy.
glamored. You just never know.
Bryce doesn't have one.
No. And I don't think any of them are really like, well, they don't necessarily have servants in this. Crescent City's really progressive.
Yeah. Yeah, if anything.
Lunathion, not Evelyn.
Yeah. Or even,
Not Pangera.
Pangera isn't.
But we spend most of our time in Lunathion, and so Bryce never has a chance to have a servant.
Servants, yeah. Autumn King has servants.
He sure does. Oh my god, I miss him. R.I.P. to that fucking hottie.
So it might be because they have a lack of servants, but probably not. It says that her old room was unlivable, not because of shattered furniture. There was vines and thorns were overrun by them. Why, Kylie? What's your thought?
Well, specifically, it says, my old bedroom had been overrun with them. They'd curved and slithered over the walls and twined themselves amongst the debris, as if they'd crawled off the trellises beneath my windows, as if 100 years had passed and not months. That bedroom was now a tomb. And this has me thinking about how Tammy's dad planted all those rose bushes for his mom. What if his dad planted them to use the magic that's in the land to cover up his favorite Asteri Daglin friend? We know the Spring Court has unique training, a tremendous amount of land, and had close ties to Hybern. Still does currently. Once again, not a spoiler for these books since that was a Crescent City situation, knowing that there was one buried under the prison. So it's not too crazy to think that there's an Asteri Daglin hidden amongst multiple courts.
Oh, yeah.
Because I make a point for the Autumn Court later.
Yes. I think that's definitely possible, plausible. I'm with it. But even just the comment of as if 100 years have passed and not months. Now, in multiverses, like we'll just use Marvel, if something happens in one, it sets off almost like a chain reaction in the others. And like if you know much about quantum leaping and stuff, they say that like there's alternate realities. And if one version of you does something, it changes the course of it.
You bitch, just so casual with this quantum leaping, like if you know. It's
your woo-woo. But it makes you wonder if because things change, she left, it has an effect on time. We know time slows and things. Now, Feyre has this great power because she's part of the Seven Lords. We don't know what else she is. She leaves, and then all of a sudden, things are overgrowing, like time went crazy.
Not a crazy thought, and just the symbolism with like the tomb and Tam's well, and that and the leg of the cauldron again, like I talked about the end of last episode, just the Spring Court's fucking shifty. And I think that there's an Asteri there, and maybe like that pool Starlight's been feeding that one specifically because you know how they have their reserves. And there's pockets everywhere. Are those pockets everywhere to supply the sleeping Asteri? Daglin? Valg? Whatever the fuck they are?
Vaglisteri.
It sounds like vagina.
Yeah, Valglisteri. Yeah, Vaglisteri.
I like Vaglisteri.
We love a good bag. Not badge, okay? Bag.
Not to be confused with our gal Vespi.
No, different.
Big Vespi vibes today. Your dark hair, red lip. Ode to the Valg.
I'm here for it. I'm wearing green, Terrace green, not Spring Court. Just want to make sure everyone knows.
Big difference. There is literally like a color number in between.
Yeah, like not the same. Speaking of, let's talk about Tamlin. So we pissed some people off on the interwebs. Yeah?
I, once again, did not know that a joke reel about Tamlin playing in a pool for 49 years would be so polarizing. Truly, so polarizing.
I do feel like it's just like sometimes the loudest people. Like, I don't think it's the masses, not 2A masses either. Like,
it was one person. One person lives in our comment section currently.
Yeah, she really everything commented on. And I just have a quick question, you Tamlin sympathizers. What are your thoughts on Tam's continual support of Ianthe? Lack of judgment, all bronze, no brain. Like, Tote's fine with him treating Lucian like shit for 2 books. I just need somebody to explain this to me of why he's so great and misunderstood.
I give credit to Tamlin where it is due throughout this episode, throughout the next episode, which not to be a spoiler to myself, but two things can be true. Like, he can make good decisions, but still have a shitty personality. And I think that is the case. Like, he's made he's made a lot of bad decisions. True. But he
does 2 good things in this book.
He was two-faced to Hybern, but he was also two-faced to Prythian. But like, he made some good decisions. He does a solid for Feyre later, but also he still sucks. He still sucks. What about him woos you? There's nothing charming about him. We know that Lucian is supposed to be the smooth talker of the two. So really, what does Tamlin have to offer besides being attractive? But we know he's blonde.
And also, like, maybe it's because I have a bartender, waitress, mother. Like, how people treat the help, when I said help, makes a difference. The way that he treated his sentries, I'm like, fuck off.
Tamlin would not put his grocery cart back.
No, that's beneath him. He would not do that.
He would winnow, or however they send fucking letters, have Lucian come put his cart away, and then they'd go back to the spring court.
Like, I don't know what the draw is there for people.
I think like I'm extra bitter towards Tamlin because like there was so many arguments over him in the pool. Once again, Tamlin doesn't even have an above ground pool, so like it's not even realistic.
No, you're way prettier, okay?
I was wearing blue. Tamlin would wear green. And so like all these dead giveaways that it wasn't really Tamlin.
Yeah, you really confused people.
Do I just make that great of a Tamlin that they just didn't know? They didn't know it was a joke because I did such a good job cosplaying.
Honestly, fuck this podcast, and you should just become a full-time Tamlin cosplayer. Like, go to cons, get paid for that.
I'm going to pick the viola back up from 4th grade, and I'm going to play it in the most fiddly way possible as Tamlin. Traveling minstrel. I'm going to live Tamlin's dream.
You are. You're going to show him up.
And then I'm going to give more Tamlin hate.
Yeah.
I out-Tamlined Tamlin.
Like, I guess if we want engagement, we just talk about Tamlin. But, like, we're never looking to rage bait people, to be fair.
It was a joke.
It was really a joke. Like, we weren't even, like, dissing him. It was just, like, a little jokey joke.
Like, yeah, it was absolutely nuts. A wild 48 hours.
You want to know what's not a joke, though? The differences between Tam and Rhys. When each time Feyre came back from the night court, all Tam wanted was, like, updates. Barely gave her any love. When Rhys is united with the Feyre, he kicks everyone the fuck out so he can fuck her. And that just shows the man he is.
Priorities. Like, once again, like, he doesn't ask about what we all know that Tamlin went through trauma. I'm not disregarding that.
No, yeah.
Also went through trauma. They all did. They all need fucking therapy. But like, they're not checking in with each other. And if they're not checking in with each other, obviously the vibes are off. And like, you should have known your relationship wasn't doing great. No, but he didn't care because it's just the aesthetic of a woman on his arm. I mean, we know she's fucking hot.
Yeah, and it's the control and everything. Like, he likes those things. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
And also, I don't get why people like bitch so much, the Tamlin haters, about how terrible Feyre is for what she did to him. And it's like, who cares? That wasn't her mate.
They weren't great to each other. They were not a good fit. Thank God they didn't end up together because they would just end up divorced. And,
They would.
you know, that's not great in the Fae world. Like, Sathia tells us that in Crescent City. It's, like, really frowned upon.
Yeah, you don't do that. You just would rather be miserable. You know, it's like the 1950s all over again.
You know, I'm surprised he didn't have, like, hate sex during Calanmai to, like, take it out. Like, he was so distraught. He couldn't participate in the rite. And I'm
Yeah, and
surprised.
made poor Lulu do it.
I know. But, like, why specifically is Calanmai in the Spring Court? Like, why do they have that huge ass right? We know Lucian took Tammy's spot, obviously, and they're generating magic from the land for the crops, but truly, like, what for? Are they actually sustaining something, or are they sustaining what's buried in the bushes?
Mm.
Because, like, if the pool start, you know, if it's water has to evaporate. So the spring pool, that's gotta, like, go somewhere. So they're sustaining it with their magic. This is like the fax machine.
That's what it was getting. Fax machine, little superstar there. And like also, why does the Spring Court have such a portal and like little shortcut to under the mountain? It's because they're doing shifty shit.
Not even to just the fact that it's under the mountain. That under the mountain was their sacred spot, their sacred meeting spot. Like, why does everybody else have this direct link, or is it just the Spring Court?
And why
Because
are we
I don't know
calling
that the
it
Night
sacred?
Court has a direct line to under the mountain.
No, it doesn't. It's Spring Court does. So it's
We know
like
that all entrances were sealed off,
right.
but just
Why is that? Like, I have a lot of questions about under the mountain and why it's sacred. Anyways, and like it's said holy at times, which is giving Dag Valglistery vibes, which looking at the Spring Court having a direct line to it, they're entrenched.
totally.
Shit's not right.
But on the subject of Lulu, there's a point where Feyre and Lucian are talking about Tammy and Mr. Hybern's bargain and how it was crafted too cleverly, too clearly, and magic bound them. And if Tamlin tried to break it, Lucian shares, it will claim his own powers, maybe kill him. Magic is all about balance. It's why he couldn't interfere with your bargain with Rhys. Even the person who tries to sever the bargain faces consequences. If he kept you here, the magic that bound you to Rhys might have come to claim his life as payment for yours or the life of someone else he cared about. And I just want to keep a pulse check on magic being a balance as we continue to build our way up to ACOTAR 6, because we will reference it, and here it is. This is where it says it. Like, there is a balance to be said about all this magic.
Yes.
And I think the Daglisteri, Valg, whatever, it's not balanced right now. Magic is not happy.
No. It's not fetch.
No. I just wasn't ready because we haven't made a Mean Girls reference in like a couple weeks, you know?
You weren't expecting me to deadpan say it, were you? It
No,
really shook you
absolutely
off.
not. Just threw me for a loop, and so I like lost what I was gonna say. So Lucian goes on to say, it's old magic, old and strange. It's why we avoid bargains unless it's necessary. Even the scholars at the Date Court don't know how it works. Believe me, I've asked. Date Court doesn't know because it's not of their fucking world. Like, damn, the hints were glaring. Truly. Now that we're Easter egg girlies, I'm like, holy shit, Sarah, you're crazy.
Yeah, because the first couple, when we were reading it, before we had a podcast and anything, ACOTAR was that warm, comfy blanket, and it was cozy. I knew that there were Easter eggs, right? We're all trying to come up with theories as we read. Not everyone does that, I realize. But like, it was a light, but now, especially after Crescent City coverage, I'm like, damn, all throughout here.
Wild. And just the story's totally different after reading Crescent City.
Mm-hmm.
So in continuing that conversation, he says, they didn't dare. Feyre, he's a High Lord. He's a different breed. Okay, so how are High Lords a different breed from High Fae, Lucian? Like, I need him to enlighten us. Like, we know he's strong and powerful, but like, what do you mean by breed?
It's almost like the magic of the land, the Dag Vaglisteri magic, which Vesperus tells us she drank from the land and it drank from her. It's like the land chooses who is worthy to be these High Lords. So they truly are a different breed because they got that dog in them. They got that Dag Vaglisteri magic, if you will, inside of them. So like they are not just High Fae. They I think they have a Steri power. It's like regenerated into them.
It's giving Ouroboros. Circle of life. Who would have known that that's what the Lion King was singing about?
Yeah. And like the dark side of things, would that be like Hybern's area? Or are we joking and say, what if that's actually wasn't bad? Like Scar is just really a Rhys and we didn't know.
I bet you that there's a story out there for that. Truly.
Yeah. Fanfic.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah takes a lot of inspiration from Disney movies, truly. She's a big Disney gal.
And yeah, it makes sense to me. Speaking of Valglistery, my bad. Let's talk about incest twins. So there's no fucking way that these two aren't fucking. I'm sorry. They're incestuous. And I stand by that. Like, very Cersei and Jaime Lannister vibes to me. They're weird. Like, even they're like, let's share the same room. Who wants to share a room with their boy and girls? Like, no.
I don't want to share a room with anyone.
No, me either. If we do, we'll just stay in the same bed and eat fucking Red Robin and watch Austin Powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the name's Branna means raven, which there's a lot of mythology and raven talk about in this book as well as Crescent City. Now, Dagden means dependable and nurturing, abundant. So yeah, I don't feel like Dagden fits unless we're talking about maybe abundant in magic, but Dagden is just giving Daglin to me. It's just a derivative of it.
What if they were once good and they were just tainted by the vow? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What if they were good?
If that bloodline was okay and then just...
Who's...
the incest, though.
We just don't know what they did to all these people.
So... well, I don't want to get us flagged. Probably writing a comment about incest, isn't it? But just like, if you listen on Spotify, let me know some way, in a code way, if you think they were incest twins. Got a comment. I gotta know.
What if Vespers was the one that made them? And like, these are her babies, and she like named him that.
Dagden. And she's like, wink, wink.
Yeah, she's like, inside joke, not to be confused with incest joke.
Close but no cigar.
I also want to point out that twins are like super common in this world. Like, there's no mention in ACOTAR about twins being rare. I've seen people point out that twins are supposed to be rare, like mates are, and there's several twins throughout this series, but there's no mention of it being rare. And we'll get more into the specifics of baby making and Frost and Starlight, but just throwing that out there now because there's hella fucking twins in this series.
Yeah, the Maasverse, there's a shit ton in general. Like, Tog, so many twins.
This series specifically, like...
yeah, this series more than others, but there's a lot of twinsies.
Yeah. Big fan of twins. I am not. I was terrified that I would have them but they run on Ryan's side, so like it was not going to happen, but like still a little scary.
I was always scared growing up because my aunt had them on my mom's side, but then I found out that my mom was actually a left child and not the same blood on the twin side, so we're okay.
Both had scares of potential twins. Every doctor's appointment, I was like, there's one heartbeat, right? Everyone. I'm like, no, extra ones grew in there.
I had Irish twins, but not real twins. No way.
I'm a one and done. That's what I was destined to be. No more.
So these incest twins, when they're trying to get into Lulu's mind, it's described as two oily tendrils. What do we know about oily? Valg, which I've come to the conclusion Valg, they're essentially the same, just different factions from that world. But anyway, oily.
Well, in chapter 4 of Crescent City, House Flame and Shadow, I talked about how Hunt's crown was oily, the halo inked anew upon his brow by Rhys himself, its oppressive power somehow heavier and oily than the first, which brought up the point everything created from Valg and Throne of Glass had oily blood, oily obsidian, oily blood. Elain also described having an oily, hideous aftertaste of wordstone when trying to latch onto something to burn the overseer from Empire of Storms, like inside out, burning him. And then when Irene was healing Kale, she described the oily, unworldly wrongness. She also wondered when she would forget the dark, oily feel of Erewhon after taking him out. Dorian also described Erewhon's power as so similar to the oily power of the Valg prince that borrowed him for a bit. And once again, bring up the question, like, how are the Valg Dagsteri related? Is it just a breed situation? Are they like the Asteri did they take over Valg? Who knows at this point? But they are holding hands.
I think same world for sure.
Yeah, same world. Like, they know each other intimately.
Yeah. And there's definitely inner fighting between them, obviously.
There's just so many points we can make from being Valg and Asteri, like right here. I mean, aesthetically, the wings are giving Dagsteri. Their skin, the same ruddy hue and hair, the identical inky black as their king, but it was their vacant, unfeeling faces that snagged the eye. A lack of emotion honed for millennia of cruelty. You know, Vespi had black hair, and we know she has been to Prythian. But they also have the vibes of the Valg. Asteri there, Valg. It's just, that's what Sarah did on purpose to confuse us.
Or samesies. Also, their brain, like their shield when Feyre went back into them, that's what she said, was a shield of white bone.
How did they get that big ass bone? Once again, like with the castle, where did they get that? And there's plenty of mentions about like the thread color being bone, like all these bone mentions. Why?
Well, and I think the Surreal says that his throne was made out of human bone. It's just, so it's just like, ew.
Like, what's the fascination with the bone? Well, we know that the incest twins eat people, so it's just like, did you eat enough people? Yeah. Just, it's weird.
Well, So let's just keep on making this case. They kept the wings of their generals as trophies. You want to know who else did that? The fucking Asteri.
I bet Valg would too if they had winged beings in their world, but they didn't have winged Fae.
No. Well, yeah,
that we know of. Not Aurelia, not on the southern continent. Unless it was like the Faes that went extinct in the southern continent. Maybe they were winged.
Well, and Napoleon has wings.
But he's not from Aurelia.
No, I know. Yeah. Well, but I'm just like, I think I've already made that point. Yeah, I think if you have wings, you're not going to cut off somebody else's wings because that's like the worst thing that you could do.
Or they would, because that's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, it depends on who.
You know, I don't even think that they eat real food either. We know that they had fun with the children of Blessed, as in I don't think that the incest twins ate real food because they had fun with the children of the Blessed, but it's giving Amren because the twins were treated to their own tent after they picked at the meat sandwiches we'd packed, frowning at them as if they were full of maggots instead. It's giving that they don't eat real food ever. Which would explain the Throne of Bones. Like, those twins worked so hard to decorate the palace in Hybern.
Yeah, so do you think that, like, with their shields in their brain, like, each time they kill a human and they eat them, like, a little bone goes even more, like another wall? I feel like it just adds to it.
Yes, 100%. They're fucking weirdos. Not even fans of sandwiches.
I thought you were about to say I'm not even a fan of incest, but
I am not a fan of that either. I guess to clarify.
Thanks for making a stand on that. That's important.
You know, we have to take some stands, and this one is one that I guess I'm taking by force.
Not like eating sandwiches, step too far. Incest, also step too far.
When Feyre discovers the incest twins got a hold of the children of the Blessed, she could scent a coppery tang, but laced with earth and marrow and rot. It's that rot that is screaming Valg from those twins.
I'm trying not to say the word weird, but these fuckers, like these incest twins, they're fucking Val Daglesteri for sure. But our creepy friends say something very, very interesting that helps our theories. Let's talk about the cauldron. Let's talk about the cauldron. Cauldron is what I was going for, but cauldron too. Now, the little incest twins say the cauldron is for remaking worlds, as in a world existed and they're remaking it. Now, let's take a trip to the Throne of Glass world. In Airfire, when Selena, at the time, had been taken by the Vowed Princes and they were feasting on her memories, she has this moment where she sees Aelin. Aelin is telling her to get up. Aelin strained for her, bridging that rift in the foundation of the world. Get up. A promise for a better life, a better world. She then hears Sam, Nehemia, her uncle, Lady Marian, all telling her to get up. Dark thoughts try to plague her again, but she makes a decision. She says she wants to light up the darkness, to be a beacon for those who still dwelled in the abyss. It would not take a monster to destroy a monster, but light. Now, light to drive out the darkness. She was not afraid, and she would remake the world. Now, I believe Aelin did remake the world, but something went wrong. Now, for my theory to make any type of sense, I need to mention that I think Val and Asteri are in some type of war, fighting against each other. I think of Ragnarok. Now, reminder, Ragnarok means Twilight of the Gods, which is the Pinterest board and story that Sarah wanted to write. Spoiler alert, the whole Maasverse has this in the background. Ragnarok in Scandinavian mythology, the end of the world of gods and men. Ragnarok is a series of events and catastrophes that will ultimately culminate in a final battle between the gods, the demons, and the giants, ending in the death of gods. The world is then reborn. They have to remake the world, if you will. So with all that context, I want to bring up something else the incest twins say. The cauldron is victory. It will wipe this world clean again. Emphasis on again. So the cauldron has already wiped a world clean.
Ragnarok, we talk about like gods, demons, giants, all of that. All these sleeping giants. What if those were wiped away the first fucking time? And like that's why there's just the husks.
Mm-hmm. It's giving, Bible, flood, Ragnarok. So Prythian's fucking weird, as we say. It's way more magical than any other land in the Maasverse. The big question is why. Now, I'm probably taking another big swing here, but I believe that when Aelin banished the gods, they went to some hell-like place, like we saw, and the mother, which color, whatever the fuck you want, Chthona, Chaos, took the gods, and now they're in these eddies of the cauldron, which would make sense as to why, yes, Nesta has some of Deanna's powers and vibes, among other things. She stole it. It began with the cauldron, a mighty black cauldron held by the glowing, slender female hands in a starry, endless night. Those hands tipped it over, golden, sparkly liquid pouring out over the lip. And then Feyres says, not sparkling, but small symbols, word marks. The contents of the cauldron were dumped in the void below, pooling on the earth to form our world. Now, if the Maasverse is alternate realities, not to say there aren't other planets before people come at me. If the world had already been wiped clean, the mother would need to remake it.
Such a catch on the again.
Well, and I just keep on thinking, and we brought this up in our Crescent City coverage of like at the end of Crescent City when they talk about the green world, right? Like it's light and it's green. And then Vespers talks about Prythian saying, yes, this green world, like we had a green world like yours. Who's to say it's not the same fucking thing? And that's why the Asteri can't find their home world is because it already got wiped out.
Yeah.
The cauldron.
Because even Maeve talks about, or her OG world, there was green and it was light and then it was dark.
they're all saying the same thing, which makes you feel like one of Prythian was maybe the OG god world, but they in a different like realm reality, like we don't realize it, and the cauldron wiped it out to start again, and that's why this one is so fresh and magic.
Well, what if Elain banished those 12 gods to Prythian, and somehow the Val Dagsteri trapped them in the cauldron and took over their world? And like that's how they tainted it, because the cauldron was pure, but now it's because we know the gods are assholes.
The gods are assholes. We know that there was inner fighting in the Valg world of some sort, right? And even like there wasn't enough room anymore, is what Maeve said. Like they started fighting. So it's like this is a part of it. Like they're all fighting. They got trapped, and the defiling that the Steri did to the cauldron involves this. Yeah.
I want to know what they did to the cauldron, truly.
And maybe that's exactly what, we just are saying is like, but maybe it wasn't Aelin that, or she didn't put them in the cauldron, but like the mother, put the gods in there to defile it.
Book 6,
that was their
Vesperus. Her POV, for sure.
Oh, God. That would be fun.
That'd be wild.
Have a Vespi POV? What would you rather have, Thea or Vespi?
Ooh, that's Sophie's choice. That's a hard one. I would take both. I want both. I think I want one chapter, one POV. I don't want more than that. Just a glimpse. Enough to like keep you wanting more.
Like give us enough Easter eggs to confirm my theory that Vespi is the mother of creating our girl Thea. Not our girl, she's terrible, but I said our girl.
And maybe the incest twins. Maybe she was just the mother of Prythian and birthing these demons left and right.
Yeah.
Saying Thea is a demon because she didn't do great things.
Wow. So we'll come back to the cauldron. We talk about Bone Carver, but really we'll get back in the cauldron the next episode. But
let's talk about someone. Demon.
Yeah, let's talk about something else corrupted or a demon. Go ahead.
We're gonna start with Ianthe, what big eye. I don't like that one. Nope. We're just testing out nicknames and none of them work. Ianthe loved costume jewelry. She lifted a slender hand clad in silver rings and bracelets to encompass the room, the manor. Aside from the astronomer, who loved to contain living beings on his hands, Rhys also enjoyed jewelry. He had gold rings on his long finger. His rings are pointed out in chapter 2, 22, and 89 of House of Flame and Shadow, and I know it's a stretch, but I think the priestess jewelry is a nod to her connection to the Asteri, or beings that aren't homies.
I 100% agree with that. And like when we go back to the Tog world talking about the priestess, and they had the 8-pointed star as well, talking about the gods. Well, gods, Asteri.
I bring up more later and her jewelry situation as well.
Of course you do.
So when Ianthe is saying her prayers and then Feyre becomes like a star of the show, which is it's fucking hilarious. One, I love Feyre for this. That shit is so funny. Like her moving that stone and like being top tier moment for Feyre. Like, not that I didn't love her already, truly fell in love with her there.
We love petty, and this whole book, Feyre really goes in on the petty, so.
It was top tier.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2, when Ianthe's saying her prayers, Feyre released the damper on the power that she had unleashed in Hybern. Her body turned incandescent as light shone through, pure as day, pure as starlight. I, once again, do not think that this magic has any association with the day court. It is starlight. Once again, all these fucking glaring signs, like, look at this fucking shining star Feyre.
And even the saying of her body turning incandescent as light shone through, pure as day, pure as starlight, it's giving Ori.
Yes, that Ori.
It's giving. We have lots of thoughts about it, but that's
still not in this book.
Nope. Still not.
We're still not there.
Nope.
So then there's this point after when Feyre thinks, considering how this very morning Lucian had knelt before me, swearing fealty to a newborn god, as if we had both been cauldron blessed. And I think right here is the moment where he will always pick Feyre over Tamlin, not just because of Elain, but it's almost like he made a promise, like an oath here to her, without even knowing this newborn god.
Well, like,
Not that she's cooler than Tamlin anyway.
the reason that Tamlin was even able to get Lulu over the border is because Eris sent a message to him. Like, Tamlin doesn't really do shit for Luthen. Luthen? Tamlin doesn't do shit for Luthen, okay? He doesn't, though. Like, he's fine with just being a complete jackass. He's fine assuming that something's going on between Feyre and Lucian and thinking the worst of him. He's like, hey, I'm going to give you all these lashings. I mean, he didn't really have a choice there. I understand. But like, he's fucking shitty to him. Like, he made him fuck Ianthe. Like,
He's not a good friend. Once again, shitty personality. Makes bad choices. He made it a handful of good choices. Handful. That's all you got. But not a good friend.
I mean, yeah, the symbolism of his heart being stone and him showing like no empathy or love towards anyone. Sorry, guys.
He sucks.
He does suck.
Can't convince me otherwise.
And at least, even when Lulu sucks, because he does sometimes, obviously, he's a fucking dick at times. At least he has fucking personality.
He's trying. He tells Feyre that she was a better friend to him than he ever was to her. Like, he can at least recognize and take accountability. And I respect that.
Yeah,
but
like,
also he took an oath without even realizing it.
Yeah, I'm on board with this.
This is more of an oath to me than Rhys drinking Feyre's blood and taking that alleged blood oath. There's more oath vibes here than there was there, in my very humble opinion.
Humble. Okay.
I don't know the words that come out of my mouth sometimes. Okay, stop. We're going to talk about the wall. Did you like the transition? Did you feel it?
Yeah. Okay. To our lovely listeners, as you know, Kylie and I struggle with transitions sometimes. Sadly, we've gotten better. It's
better
hard when
such a loose term.
Yeah, the bar was low. But when you have an ADHD brain, you go on these tangents and it's like, wow, I don't know how to reel this back in. But I was watching a clip of Amy Poehler talking about how she's the fucking worst at transitions, and it was with Will Ferrell, and so she just says, okay, stop. And that's going to be our new transition when we don't know what to do. Okay, stop.
Like, how do I transition from Lulu taking oaths to the wall?
Okay, stop.
We learned some of the holes just appeared over the centuries in the wall, and the one Feyre and Lulu took the incest twins to, Feyre said this: I came up behind them studying the gap. The wall around it made every instinct recoil at its wrongness. And then Dagden says, this exact spot exists because a person or object of mighty power passed through it. The cauldron will study the work that they've already done and magnify it until the wall collapses entirely. It is a careful, complex process, and one I doubt your mortal minds can grasp. Do we think it's a who or a what went through this wall? The dramatic part of me thinks some fae smuggled some big object of power through the wall to hide it on the mortal side.
I'd be into that. I also like a stretch, but just the wording, I doubt your mortal mind can grasp, and like how he's like, you wouldn't understand. It makes me hope that whoever was that mighty object of power came from her family. Like, what if it was Mama Archeron?
Maybe. We talked about the caves earlier, and obviously, like, that's how Feyre and Lulu get out of the spring court. So after Feyre and Lucian abandoned Ianthe, they head to a cave. The caves, doors they called them, in those hollows led to other pockets of Prythian. I'd taken one straight under the mountain. I would now take one to get me home or as close to it as I could get. No door to the night court existed here or anywhere. But then Lucian says, the Autumn Court portal is this way. He calls it a portal. His choice of words is interesting. Also, why is there no doors to under the mountain? Every other court, which makes me think about the Dusk Court as well. Well, there is, because
as I say,
but there's only doors from the Night Court to the Dusk Court.
To the Dusk Court. Yeah. So
we can say that it's not a spoiler because we talked about it in Crescent City.
Yeah. Like they didn't know. Because even Az didn't know at the time. So accurate information. They didn't think there was one.
So there's more hidden portals, and also the use of pockets. These hollows led to other pockets of Prythian. And we know that when that there's pockets between the realms. So are we storing whole ass lands? Because it's already questionable, like when they go through doors and whatnot to them. So Lucian using portal is fucking choice.
It is. And like just Prythian in general, like I almost feel like Prythian is a pocket in between realms.
Truly, once again, we use the term weird, but it is. There's so many unique things to it. And just like the way that the magic is with the land and how strong these High Lords are and all these pockets within pockets.
Right, which just the cauldron wiping again makes you think.
When they're going through the portal, Lucian paused before the swirling gloom of the cave mouth, the blackness like a worm poised to devour us both. It's an obvious connection to the entrance of the prison. Similarly, they have to walk through an archway, which is also very much like the gates in Crescent City that opened to hell. Just all the ones in Prythian seem to open up to menacing types of darkness. So then Feyre and Lucian head through the Autumn Court. Like Springs, the Autumn Court is raising a lot of red flags. And I really want to point out that upon arriving to the Autumn Court, Feyre talks about the cold hitting her. Brisk, crisp cold, laced with loam and rotting things. I don't know why I said rotting that way. I apologize.
Rotting?
I'm really emphasizing. It was rotting. I know with fall, the thought of rotting leaves on the ground could explain this, but the juxtaposition with how beautiful Feyre describes it doesn't make sense. She points out the scent of rot multiple times. I think, thanks to the Bloodhound gift that Blakely has pointed out, she's able to smell that there is corruption within the Autumn Court and that something is festering. I mentioned earlier about the Spring Court potentially hiding something. The Autumn Court Manor is peculiar. It had been built in and around the trees and rocks, and only its uppermost levels were visible above the ground. Below, it tunneled a few levels into the stone. A few levels into the stone? Why? Like, we know Baron is fertile, Fred, but does he have like a whole city of kids that he like is hiding under there, or is he protecting something in that stone?
It's a great point. Fucking the fertileness we'll talk about next episode. But stone in the Maasverse is weird. We get to talk about it again. But yeah, what's going on there? But as you mentioned, like the rot, it's giving a Velen smelling of rot, which if a Velen is the same aisle of the prison, but separated by time, and we know there's evil lingering below it, it makes one wonder what's festering in the Autumn Court. And you just mentioned only the uppermost levels were visible ground. There's just no way that something isn't hiding there.
We know Baron's hella old. He's the oldest High Lord that there is. So he has seen the Daglastery. So, and we know that, you know, in Crescent City, there's obviously there's the Autumn Court there and the Night Court visible. It was corrupted. So it's just, I feel like the corruption is there and we're like seeing it.
Yes. And like, if you have to think about people's environments, like if they're around evil or evil things for so long, it is like the saying of like when you have like a fruit that's rotting, it starts rotting. There is a festering and a rotting in the Autumn Court. They're not nice there. And if it's something's been going on for this many or hidden, like Vesper says, their power is hidden all throughout, it's taken a hold of the Autumn Court.
because we're given it specifically for the Autumn Court, not the Winter Court, not the Dawn Court, not the Summer Court. None of those have like a rot vibe, but here specifically, like it's front and center. That's weird.
It's shifty.
It is. I'm curious how the woods in the Autumn Court work for Lucien. They're his woods by blood and law. But with Lucien not being Baron's son, is that why like his brothers actually can attack him on this land and kill him? Is it because like they're not his? And I know that High Lords like are competitive and kill each other, but they know like Lucien's not even in the running for this court.
I feel like, and I don't have any reason to believe this or like to say this, but like I think Eris knows for sure, and that's why Lucien was never a threat, and that's why he got him out, because he knows in the long run he could be an ally in the day court. So he wasn't ever competition to Lulu. But the other brothers, I think they're just dum-dums and they don't know shit. They're just assholes.
Yeah, because we never learn their names.
We don't even know their names. Like Sarah always does that on purpose. She doesn't give us names, but like they're just not worthy, I guess.
No, like, are they forgotten intentionally?
Probably. What if one's name is Morven?
I would die. Like, Morven was honored later on in Crescent City to honor this fucking fallen brother. I would be devastated. Just kidding. I don't like Morven. Go for it.
No, Morvey sucks.
So I want to point out, and this is really close to my heart, that Lucien doesn't ACOTAR max at all, but he Smeagol maxes. He waded into the stream, boots off and pants rolled to his knees, and caught a fish with his bare hands. As a Gollum cosplay enthusiast, like I love Lucien even more. Like my note in my Kindle says like my Smeagol baby at this point. My notes are really concerning that I leave for myself.
Yeah, no one else is going to see him. But you're like, Miss Smeagol baby. My precious, some might say.
I, once again, don't know why I leave these notes for myself.
Especially that. Like that's, you need to remember that.
Yeah, my Smeagol baby. I think there's big things in store for my Smeagol baby in his future. Like, Feyre hints at it constantly. She says he's sounding more High Lord-like than an unwanted son. And then later says, pretend you weren't made for something more than that. And I just think that there's a lot of foreshadowing that Lucien's going to be like a big key player.
Yes. 100% on board. Can we trust this key player? That's a question. His talent was wasted in the Spring Court. There was a reason he had a fox mask, you know. Once again, what is his talent? What was he doing? I mean, I can't help but think of the term fox in a hen house, someone who infiltrates a group to exploit for personal gain or their interests. So the question is, can he be trusted in the Night Court?
The fox mask is so interesting because it's like, who are you a fox to? Who are you loyal to? Where is your loyalty? Because like, it's not in the Spring Court. Well, it's to Feyre.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, to Feyre, but not necessarily the Night Court.
No, and you can even look at it as like he's a fox in the Autumn Court. He doesn't even really belong there. He's a Day Court High Lord. So he's destructing it from within.
What if he is good and that is the point? He is not it, but doesn't belong in a single one of these fucking courts and until he gets to Day Court. And maybe
I hope so.
not even there. I don't feel like he fits in there either.
I know. He's just a little different. But
Which, when Moore gave Lucien a look over the stare of the Morgan, whose gift was pure truth, I'm so curious, like, what she can see versus that eye. Or what she could see about his eye.
Or what he sees about her. Like, what questions?
He doesn't talk enough.
So, Kylie, who do you think is more trustworthy? Moore or Lulu?
Unclear at this moment. I feel it depends on the situation. I think if it's something concerning Feyre, I would trust Moore more than Lucien because Moore is so crazy protective over Feyre in these books. If it's like going on a quest to save the people, I think I might trust Lucien because I don't know Moore's intentions. It's strictly situation dependent. What do you? I feel like yours is Lulu.
Who I trust more?
Yeah.
More. More as an More, not more. I don't know. I make a case that I don't shut up about both of them not being trustworthy. I like Lulu more.
Just because he's not blonde.
Mhm. He's not a love bomber. He's also not a love bomber, and Moore is.
I don't know if it's love bombing or protecting because, if Moore has this witch heritage, maybe she's sensing that and
Yeah,
and
like
wants
her
to
sister.
protect her greatness.
Maybe. Yeah, like a witchy bond that they have.
Because maybe she senses like same witch in Feyre versus like potentially different witch in Nesta. And that's why they butt heads.
I don't know. Just more with her always wearing red, and then Sarah uses that symbolism a lot for like the evil people.
I'm looking
We
at
shall.
you. What is it? The Renner Industries.
Yeah. Yes. But then we also have red Kraken Witch. Like,
And Crocans are good. Manon was good.
man, it's good. So I mean, I hope both of them are good. People believe that Elaine's bad, right? Did you know that?
I don't have the capacity for that.
What if she is?
No.
Yeah, people think Elaine's bad, and she's Elaine, evil Elaine. It's a whole thing.
If somebody thinks that, please tell me why. Like, DM us. I need to know. I need to know because what?
Well, I mean, we start to see more of her in these next couple of books, so maybe we'll try to build a case for evil Elaine because people think it, but not there for me.
I don't know about what about sourdough screams evil? What about gardening screams evil? Wild. People are wild. The internet's a crazy place, truly.
But, we're bad for saying Tamlin sucks. Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I want to talk about something joyful, and that's Eris. Eris is my new Autumn King. Okay, I truly think so. I am like dead set on this man is fucking hot and good. Okay, we will get more into that. That's not where I'm going here. When the Autumn Court clan is like fighting Feyre and Lucien, Feyre made the wall of fire, and then as Eris's livid face emerged from my net of flame, glowing like a new forged god, he was looking fucking hot of wrath, Lucien and I brought down the cave ceiling. And I think her words are intentional. With Eris being the only brother's name we know, he's after the Autumn Court throne, and I think he's a key player eventually. Like, this god of wrath is just a little foreshadowing.
Yeah, new forged god of wrath. Now, if he's set to be the Autumn King's heir, magic would be choosing him. The starry magic, new forged god. It tracks because High Lords are, and I quote, Lulu, a different breed.
Like, he walked out of that flame and it allowed Feyre to see him in a new light. He was birthed in a new light to her because after then, she even at one point says, like, and I think I mentioned in the next episode that, like, maybe he's not so bad. It is in the next episode where I get into it more, but like, she does actually have the ability to view him in a different light here. She does snap at him, rightfully so. He does try to kill her.
I mean, yeah. Okay. I didn't really get much into Eris. We both do in the next one, where we will. But on my first read of ACOTAR, I liked Eris.
Eris is good. Eris is good.
Eris is good. And yeah. And I think because I think Eris is good, not to not believe women, but that's the reason why I don't trust more.
Something about Moore's story is not right. But once again, something about the way Eris talks about, like, you'll know the real story someday. It's like, what? Maybe Moore's just a pawn in all of this too. And maybe she's not even actually bad, just was a pawn.
Just a blonde pawn.
You never know. So, once again, I want to talk about Rhys. We're always going to come back to him.
Okay. Stop. Let's talk about Rhys.
Okay. So there's a point where Rhys leaned against the archway in the sitting room, arms crossed, wings nowhere to be seen, dressed in his usual immaculate black jacket and pants. Okay, I know I am being aggressive about this jacket, but then again, it says Feyre traced the faint silver whorl of embroidery on the breast of his jacket. And like, what do we know about whorls and swirls and what they're associated with? Word marks. Something is off about this jacket. It's literally Sisterhood of the Traveling Jacket, and you can only be a High Lord if you wear it.
And you can make the case of who do we think made it? His seamstress of a mother. So,
Like pointing out the whorls on it, like that's specific.
Yeah. And it being silver, can't talk about yet, but
when you were doing that, it was giving Ross, like.
I watched Friends last night, so.
Rhys and just, he's living that Valg life. Feyre thinks he'd shove down his need for me and take me to them if that's what I wanted. My choice. It had always been my choice with him. And he truly just eat, breathes, and sleeps choice for everyone.
Yes. With the choice, the other thing, obviously, with the Valg choice, Feyre makes a comment of where she's like, Rhys, where does this come from? Meaning this need to like take everything on himself. And I think part of that is because Rhys doesn't really have a choice. Meaning, I think his talkings with the Valg Prince, whoever that is, or his Hell Prince that he talks to, has like made it clear, like, you're the one who has to do this. Like, you're the only hope in this situation. So he feels like when it all comes down to it, it is on him. He doesn't have a choice. This is what his birthright almost was. And that is another reason why he tries to give everyone around him a choice.
That's okay. Once again, this is why I'm saying like he gives more Elain and Bryce energy because neither of them had a choice. They truly did not. And like, not only that, but he's always plotting and a step ahead. Like he really channels Bryce and Elain.
And exactly like Elain did not have a choice. It had to be the heir, Mala's heir, like was the one. And I think it's the same situation with Rhys. Like he does not have that choice. And there's something written in there where Rhys is the one that has to take the fall for things.
Agreed.
No notes.
None.
Cool.
When Rhys and Feyre were reunited and romping in the sheets, Feyre thought, I might explode into moonlight and flame. It's Deanna in Feyre's veins coated, truly. And then they were done, and Rhys is examining the tattoos inked on Feyre. He kissed one of the whorls of near black blue ink. And I immediately thought about Rowan's tattoos. The first time Selena said she described them as whorls of black ink against the sun-kissed skin. And then Feyre kisses the whorls of an Illyrian tattoo on Rhys, and she never calls her whorls Illyrian. Is there a difference between hers versus Rhys's and versus word marks on Rowan and Elain? Like, once again, we know, like, Bryce's back has Daglin writing. Like, where does that compare to Illyrian versus word marks?
Well, we're told in Crescent City that Illyrians were bred from Daglin to be warriors. So why are the tattoos such a sacred part of Illyrian culture? Like, was this something that the Daglin explained to them? Like, where does it come from?
And the whirls and swirls is just like, okay, so what whirls and swirls are you putting on each other? Because we know that Rowan put specifically ones on Elain so she could find her way home to him.
What if the Daglin created the Illyrians and had these tattoos with the word marks so they would almost be able to fight between realms?
Call their soldiers whenever they needed. Because Illyrians are so weird.
Yeah. Back to that weird Valg life. When Feyre's in the Autumn Court and the Faebane is starting to wear off, she says, and in my dreams, I think I swam through Lucian's mind as if some small ember of my power was at last returning. Now, we freaking know that Rhys is a dream creep. He was able to get these visions of Feyre when she was in the Spring Court having nightmares, before they even had the bargain bond or the mating bond was there, but weren't aware of it, snapping into place. But the Valg also love creeping into dreams. I told you my theory of one of Rhys's nightmares in A Court of Mist and Fury, and obviously we have all the Crescent City options of them doing that. So is this their preferred form of communication? It opens up the conversation about the Dag Vaglisteri and how they use dreams. Even in book 1, I feel like they were pushing Feyre along, or her nightmares in general. Was it a form of torture, or was it the gods or Vaglisteri pushing her on the right path?
Was it them, or was it like Word?
The mother, yeah, or Word, or the fates. Like,
because somebody has their hand in Feyre's honeypot, and they are helping her along.
Truly. And fucking Lucian says, I've seen Rhys play the Dark Prince over and over. When Feyre sees Rhys kneeling after that nightmare that I was just talking about, she calls him a Dark Prince, as that's what she would paint him. I just feel like the prince is intentional, meaning Prince of Hell. Now, is he a Hell baby from the Abyss? Someone else? I don't know, but it's there for me.
No, I agree. There is some collusion. Either he is a Prince of Hell, or maybe he's Hellas. Who knows? I don't think he's Hellas. I think that's the craziest stretch. I'm not on board with that. Just want to clarify. Maybe he's got Hellas on his shoulder.
Yeah, like I said, is Hellas the name of the Prince of the Abyss?
Or is he Daddy Abyss, or like a daddy of the Hell boys? Like, yeah. He birthed 7 princes. He's a male seahorse, you know?
I have to wait. I have a theory in my brain that's starting to take shape. Not quite there.
Your train, it's starting.
She's starting.
She's gonna arrive at the station soon. Not today.
Mm-hmm. No. So Feyre says, I realized then that the color of death, of sorrow, was white. The lack of color, of vibrancy. She left Cassie and Rhys by the door and says Nesta's rage was better than this shell, this void. The phrasing is so interesting to me. The color of death is white. What color light do Asteri have? And Vespi tells us that their power, their light, does well in thin places. So what did Elain take?
What was Elain given?
Yeah. What happened to Elain in that cauldron? Because we don't know.
What if the cauldron was like, here's all that's left in me that's pure. The rest of me is tainted and dark. And like it gave it to Elain as a sacred holding space. Elain is all that was good in the cauldron. Because we don't, like, it was remade, absolutely, at the end of this book. But, like, it was already tainted. Like, what?
She got the last remain, the light, Elain meaning light.
I think she did get the last of what was good in that cauldron.
These fucking Archeron sisters.
They're strong gals.
They are strong.
Which, you know... Okay, stop. Let's talk about more.
I thought you were going to be like, speaking of another strong gal, and then you're like, no, I don't want to say that. Okay, stop.
Once again, Moore was giving crazy protective over Feyre in this book. She's very much giving the mother. Because, you know, associating her with a 3-faced goddess, it's big mother energy in this book. She snapped at Amren and made Amren apologize to Feyre. And we know Amren's fucking terrifying. And this is before Amren becomes High Fae. That's pretty fucking ballsy. And like she was frowning at Rhys after Feyre snapped at him too, clearly siding with Feyre, even though she's like not a Nesta stan. Feyre was defending Nesta and Moore sided with her. And so I think it's really interesting that she is so mother hen in this to Feyre.
Keeping enemies closer, or is it a genuine love?
But it's specific. We know it's not. Well, if she was going to keep her enemies close, she'd be fucking homies with Nesta. I don't know.
Unless she thinks Nesta can see through her. I don't know. Yeah. She is Mother Hen in this, though, for sure.
Why don't we know more about Moore's mom? She's mentioned twice.
Yeah, not much is said about her.
Parents in these books are really fucking shitty parents. All of them. Like, not one of them is like there for their kids. Like, fucking bad parenting.
No, yeah, like ACOTAR, not good parents.
I mean,
Rhys's
the
mom,
Archeron dad does come in clutch at the end, but he had
They-
his years of being shitty too. And so, yeah, parents aren't great. Ruin's mom, she's cool.
Rhys's mom was cool. Some people think Rhys's mom is the same as Ruin's mom. That's that theory. Ember's cool. She's just a bitch.
Yeah,
In her
Ember and
own way.
Randall, they are solid parents. They are the most solid parents throughout the Maasverse.
We got
that are
Sabitch.
alive.
She sucks. Aelin's parents were good.
That's why I said that are alive.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Yeah. Yeah. All those they're dead. Better than doornails.
I have a really important question.
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck does mail work in these realms? Because it's like, we got to get a letter out, or we have to like get word to them. How the fuck are they spreading word? Because it's not Rhys talking to everyone. We know that the bond is foggy to Feyre, like when he's far away. So how the fuck are they getting word out? Is it just like how Rhys makes magic letters appear? It's really frustrating to me that I don't know how. Is it just like, do they have carrier pigeons? Like, do they have magical mailboxes that have?
They don't have otters.
They sure as
No
fuck don't
otters.
have otters. They don't.
So
I'm upset.
God, can you imagine otters in Prythian? Little pools of starlight.
Oh my god, stop. They're like all shimmery and beautiful little angels.
Oh my god, yes. They would love it.
They would. How does mail work? How does getting word out work? And then how does it come back and forth? Like, how are they arguing over word of like where to hold like this meeting location?
Yeah, because Rhys does the
With
letters to Feyre.
specifically.
Yeah, I don't know. As someone whose father works for the post office, we know they can't be trusted. They can't be trusted. Because he might go postal.
Well, and like
so
you get notified if somebody like enters your territory that's not from there, right? Like, so how does mail work?
I like that this is the thing.
That keeps me up at night. Like, do they send poison through the mail? Like, do they have anthrax cures?
Anthrax? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, but I mean, like, in the vein of Faebane, actually. What if, like, is somebody mailing Faebane?
What if anthrax doesn't actually exist and it was Faebane?
And now none of us are magical through all of that. We get a little bit of Hewn City history.
Mm-hmm.
Just to go from mail to the Hewn City, like something I was really passionately concerned about, to history. I am passionate about the Hewn City because it's fucking sketchy as hell. So the steward of the Hewn City is legally entitled to refuse to aid in my armies. It was part of the agreement his ancestor made with the Court of Nightmares all those thousands of years ago. They would remain within that mountain, would not challenge or disturb us beyond its borders, and would retain the right to decide not to assist in the war. Again, I bring up, where do Rhys and Moore's families factor into all of this? Like, when did Rhys's bloodline take over? Was it before or after this agreement? Like, thousands of years? Like, how many thousands is a very important question. Twice they've refused. There were 2 wars long, long ago. They chose not to fight. We won, but barely, at great cost.
I know. What are those wars?
Like, when were those wars?
Mm-hmm.
And then Moore said the Darkbringer Legion was nearly as bad as the enemy in their behavior, and Rhys says that there will be new rules, to which Moore replies, "You will not be in a position to make rules, and you know it." Again, what happened to cause the separation between Velaris and the Hewn City? Is it a what or a who? Something between Moore and Rhys is very much not adding up, and the Hewn City is remaining super interesting. Because it also has a bunch of troves or objects of power in it. Between there and the Summer Court, their troves, their locations. Hewn City's weird. I said it.
It is weird, and I don't have a full theory yet. I am working on it, so I I feel like I can't say much, but I feel close. It's just not quite there.
These
I'm edging
agreements, like, why
theory.
doesn't Rhys have more power in the Hewn city? Like, why is there such a strong agreement between their families that Kier has that kind of power to be like, no, thank you, I do not want to give you my soldiers?
I even just look at like the name Darkbringer is what his legion's called. The Dark. Like I know it's a night court and it could be dark and bringing it. I get it. But like with the Lord Thanatos of it all and us believing Hewn City is a gate of some sort, I got questions. I have questions.
I want to know about those 2 wars that were long, long ago because there's no freaking timeline. Every time there's a date in here, I'm putting it on a timeline. I mean, I know timelines out there exist, but I'm making my own. And so, like,
Maybe
why
it's
were these
okay,
wars?
elemental war.
I
It's an
know that my first thought was like, is this the elemental war?
I know.
Did they trap elements in those rings? And those are the siphons that they give to the Illyrians?
I
I don't know why I said it that way. And then you had to bully me.
I don't know why.
You do know why, because you can't help it.
I can't help the bullying. So, right before they go to the Hewn City, though, Amren, they're in Amren's apartment, and the Book of Breathing says, "Hello, sweet-faced liar. Hello, I'm Mrs. Doubtfire now. Hello." What if the Book of Breathings actually had Mrs. Doubtfire's voice?
Oh my god. Hello, sweet child.
But sorry, I got sidetracked. It says, "Hello, sweet-faced liar," then says, "Hello, Princess with." Amren stops it from talking. What the fuck was I going to say? Princess with? Not Princess of Carry-On. Not Princess with many faces?
They really like to cut each other off in these books and not give us a full fucking sentence because there's multiple times where, like, we're almost going to get a nugget of information, but somebody else cuts them off. I'm like, fuck you guys. I needed that.
I know we did need that. And Amren says he just talks nonsense. But, like, was Amren wanting it to stop? Or was it a coincidence?
I think it's Amren cutting it off because she does not like to discuss. That's how she feels about her past. She does not like to discuss her past.
No, and we know she gets real shifty with Thea and them, so. I'm just going to mention the library. Right now, babies, we will go into libraries big time, bro, in the next episode. But today, let's chat about Clotho.
We meet Clotho, who we will get more into in Silver Flame, but in chapter 20, Rhys says that the library is a temple of sorts, but the priestess is here, ... As we entered the library, proper golden lights flickered to life as if Clotho had been in utter darkness until we'd entered. And then Rhys says they are special, unique. Once again, ... doesn't say anything. But then Clotho angled her head in what might be amusement. Her face remained in shadow, her slim body concealed in those pale, heavy robes. Silence, and yet life danced around her. Obviously, we know she was assaulted and cannot speak, but I think that they have gifts. The temples that associate with Ianthe are corrupted, and we know that there isn't much magic for her. Real priestesses, though, are special. And then that's why life dances around someone like Clotho. She's a legit priestess, and I bet Clotho knows the old gods. Once again, we'll get more into her later, but, wanted to point this out because it did happen in this book.
Just a little nugget.
In the library, at the bottom, lurking far below is darkness. And is that a capital D I see? That D is important. Not to be confused with other D. That is very important. So in chapter 22, Crescent City, House of Sky and Breath, I talked about the darkness, capital D, and compared it to the yielding and how it's done to give your life to the darkness, capital D. There is a point, chapter 89 of Kingdom of Ash, where Manon reminds us that the darkness is the three-faced goddess when praying to her. We learned that Bryaxis is a girl, thanks to the Call Her Daddy interview with Sarah J. Maas. So do we think that maybe Bryaxis is part of the mother contained or just a creation from her? Her daughter, like the River Queen's daughter, or a strategically placed ellipsis to make a spiral? I don't know. I think it was supposed to be the start of a one-word sentence. Because, it said and lurking far below, ... darkness.
Mm-hmm.
The only other time darkness has a capital D is in 39 of Mist and Fury when Amren says to Feyre, didn't his darkness fill you in, referring to Rhys? And then darkness with a capital D comes back up in Silver Flame, which we will bring it up then. This capital D darkness is only mentioned with the mother, and then his darkness.
Yeah.
And not to point out something negative, but the king of darkness was Erewhon. When that's with the capital D is important. D is important.
Rhys is called the prince. So.
Is he Erewhon's baby?
Maybe. Is Erewhon go by a different name?
Well, Erewhon's dead.
No, I know. But I meant but he's also a god of some. You could look at him as a god if it's Valg, and then omnipresent, which some are possible. Some of these deaths I don't trust, to be honest, in the Maasverse. I don't know if they're really dead.
Same. And Erewhon was a world walker.
Mm-hmm.
So that's those Valg kings, they're world walkers. And they're old as fuck, just like the king of Hybern. Because Feyre and Rhys, when they were talking about Mr. Hybern in the library, she's like, he's got thousands of years of knowledge and training. It's giving Asteri age. It's giving Valg age. It's giving fucking old.
Real fucking old.
You know who else old?
Who?
The Death siblings.
Death siblings.
Okay, let's talk about the Bone Carver a little bit. We'll get into the Bone Carver. So when Cassian and Feyre go to the prison, Feyre thinks, but behind that solid black rock, I could still feel them. Could have sworn a faint scratching sound filled the passage from the other side of that rock. Because it is that black rock, I just have a feeling it's Wordstone. Like, what if it doesn't have that otherworldly power because the Wordstone is from Prythian? We know that there is so much magic in this land. And reminder that the word keys are made from black rock. When Elain talks to Brandon, it's at the Temple of Stone, and that was black rock. And then when Elena locked Erewhon, it was in black rock sarcophagus. And then in Throne of Glass, the gang traveled through caves of black rock, and thanks to the little folk. And then either this black rock is Wordstone of some sort, or some sacred black stone that has the ability to hold these creatures. Like, I feel like they could be one and the same.
And is it like the bad creatures that we're hearing that noise from? Or we know from House of Flame and Shadow that when Selene came back to Prythian, she trapped her like people on the other side. She said that she could hear them. Now, being Wordstone doesn't make sense because like it could be a word gate of sorts, that the scratching is kind of the nod to the people that got trapped.
Makes you think of a lead when she could swear that she could still hear those people in that stone too. So it's like, once again, I swear that these are connected. Unclear how, but like the parallels between these worlds where same things happen different font is just insanity.
Almost like alternate realities, you know?
But back into the Throne of Glass world, a thought on Elena. Clever, that Fae warrior. Her bloodline is long gone now through a trace, though a trace still runs through some human line. No one remembers her name, but I do. She would have been my salvation had I not made my choice long before she walked the earth. What if the Fae warrior that locked the Carver in was Elena? Like, we know that Lydia Servos mentions Brandon, not Elena, even though it's the same bloodline. The gods made sure Elena was banished and erased. She was a Fae warrior. And I know Lydia is a shifter, which everyone in CC discovers is Fae, but who's to say that the Carver has the most up-to-date global gossip?
I think it's definitely possible. It could be Elena. We could even say it's Elain, because nameless seems to be her price. And like you said, Lydia knows Brandon's name, not Elain or Elena. And I personally think you could say Elain is a Fae warrior. She was trained not only as an assassin, but one of the best Fae warriors, Rowan, trained her. She could have been the Bone Carver's salvation, but she trapped them in a different world, and now they ended up here.
She changed her mind last second to save Elena, or to do right by Elena, and then...
Now, we do so much talking about the Archeron sisters, and they do feel witchy personally. But what if they got that dog in them? And the choice of the word salvation, what does Rhys call Feyre? His salvation.
Wow. Then see, we catch things that the others doesn't.
And I've made the case for Thea already, but I'm just going to do it so it's on the ACOTAR deep dive and not Crescent City. So let's fucking go. In Crescent City, fake Ada says that Ruin and Bryce both have the craven bloodlust in their corrupted bloodline, Peleus, which I take most likely from the Autumn King, but like I mentioned, their Starborn light is different. Now, Rune comes from that side, but Bryce has a light similar to Thea's. So that got me thinking a little bit. Does she have Starborn coming from Ember's side? Kylie does not agree with me, but let me try. Now, you and I both mused that we think there's something more about Ember in the past, like more than meets the eye. So then I started looking at our notes, and we know that the name Ember is related to fire. And then we have the word Quinlan as the last name. Quinn means 5. Who was Thea in love with and said was her true mate? Adis. Who was always taking a special interest in Bryce? Adis. What level of hell is he in charge of? 5th, Quinn. Apollyon even makes the comment that he won't go in her mind because it would piss off her brother. His brother, not her. Later on, Apollyon says the power as in Bryce and Hunt have is more alike than he realizes, which we know that Hunt was essentially bred from Apollyon and Thanatos and that scientist to be a demon tattoo baby. Now we could go back to Ember when she's fleeing from the Autumn King. She says that she knew she could go to the temple because she was a pregnant vessel of Chthona. Not because of Bryce's Fae royalty heritage, but no, Chthona. Now we've talked a lot about Chthona, what a Chthonic god is, and how Chthonic goddesses are related to the underworld. Who else is in the underworld? Adis. I think Adis and Thea may have had a secret love child. And we can even throw it back right now when the Bone Carver talks about his salvation. People forgot her name, which we know they tried wiping out, but it was not forgotten. But her line is still in a human bloodline? What if instead of the Archeron sisters, it's Ember? A la Bryce. I don't know. It's just thought. So there's 3
just
options.
A thought. Just one. Just this little came up
just
with
one
it
little thought. We gave you 3 options for who the salvation is, okay? Take your pick. I think with him referring to the Fae warrior trying to trick Big Weaves to stay in the middle, it would probably make the most sense to be the Archeron sisters with being the human bloodline, but the Bone Carver is vague as hell, and we're dealing with multiverse and different realities, and it's possible all 3 of our main FNCs are related in some way. Just with the overlapping 3 circles that the Bone Carver's talking about right now. Darkness in the middle, which I think is void. Darkness, capital D.
Is the void actually a lady?
Good spot. The Dark Mother.
Exactly. And those starry hands that pour the cauldron. If Bryaxis is a girl, why wouldn't the fucking void be a lady? She's our high lady.
The Mother, Chaos, Chthona is Bryaxis. Omnipresent. Bryaxis is down there.
That capital D. Telling you what. When the Bone Carver's talking about Nesta, he says, what came out was not what went in. How lovely she is, new as a fawn and yet ancient as the sea. How she calls you a queen, as my sister once was, which we will get into that next episode. Terrible and proud, beautiful as a winter sunrise. And I think it's interesting how he refers to Nesta as a fawn here. This makes me think about when the Book of Readings was singing life and death and rebirth, sun and moon and dark, rot and bloom and bones. It gave 3 sentences for hello. Hello, sweet thing. And I think it was Elain. Hello, lady of the night, princess of decay. This is Feyre. And then hello, fanged beast and trembling fawn. Love me, touch me, sing me. And then Nesta was the fanged beast and trembling fawn because he says hello 3 times. There's 3 sisters. And he literally calls her a fawn here. So it's not just Elain. Because, I mean, if you think about it, Nesta, not necessarily a trembling fawn, but she scares off easily.
Yeah, she's a scaredy cat of emotions.
Yeah, so not crazy stretch, but like she's got a little fawn in her too.
She got that fawn in her too, you know? She's scaredy.
So then I started thinking about like Elain and Manon and how they look at the witch mirror, an iron-bound mirror, the surface near golden with age, speckled, and covered in grime. And along the twining, intricate carved border, tucked into the upper right corner, the marking of the Eye of Elena, a witch symbol. So we know without a doubt the Eye of Elena is a witch mark. We know this with our girls, Hypaxia and Jessica. So with the lack of witches so far in ACOTAR, the Bone Carver tracing his overlapping circles in the dirt is very interesting.
This fucking lack of witches in ACOTAR. Oh, we're getting there.
Next episode, we open it more.
And I'm going to get a little bit into it. And this is literally the surface. So the Bone Carver lets us know the Big Weaves has a government name. Striga. Striga's his twin. He's hella scared of her. And she's more powerful than him. And I will, like I said, we're going to go way more into this. And Kai and I have some differing opinions. Let's first just start off with Striga. Now, in Slavic mythology, there's someone known as the Striska, or in Latin, Striga. Now, Striga is a vampire demon of sorts. She often showed up as female and relies on life force of others to survive. Now, in Slavic and Polish mythology, she would often have 2 hearts, 2 sets of teeth, and 2 souls. They were known to shapeshift and specifically turn into an owl. Now, remember, I told you they had 2 of everything. So if you killed her in one life, her other soul would pass on. But normally one would stay demonic. Now, there were certain ways to kill them, so they would be like dead. And that would include either burning them or chopping off their head. Now, if your head is sounding alarms because it sounds similarities to our Valkyrie Maeve, I know, but please hold. Now, the counterpart for Striga in Albanian culture was Strika. Strika comes from the Latin word meaning witch, evil woman. So to round up our thoughts here, we have it meaning witch, the duality nature, and her being a twin. I talk more in next week's episode, and similarities to Maeve and the vampire nature is feeling vag with eating life itself. Big vages. They might have white side vaginas. We don't know.
And heavy flows.
They like to eat a heavy flow, for sure.
Jesus Christ.
Well, we just said it.
We'll get more into Nesta and witches the next episode, but Lucian shook his head and said, no, it spoke to nothing in my arsenal, and that was ice. So cold it burned, ice and yet fluid like flame, or flame made of ice. And it was giving Moonfire and Deanna when that happened with Nesta.
Agree.
But back to the Hewn City, because I can't stop talking about it. Fascinated by it. I want to talk about the gates and the pillars in the Hewn City this time. The council chamber of the Hewn City was nearly as large as the throne room. It was carved from the same dark rock, its pillars fashioned after those entangled beasts. The same beasts as great scaled black beasts were carved into those gates of the Hewn City, all coiled together in a nest of claws and fangs, sleeping and fighting, some locked in an endless cycle of devouring each other. Between them flowed vines of jasmine and moonflowers, which is similar to Rhys's beast, but not quite, because neither of them are winged beasts. So why is Rhys's different? If these beasts aren't the heirloom shifting, like what are they? Are they protectors of our winged beast lord? Which then brings up, why are they depicting the Ouroboros? The Ouroboros is an ancient symbol depicting a snake or dragon eating its own tail. These carvings are eerily similar to the Ouroboros, not just the mirror. Knowing that these gates hold this witch mirror is interesting. And I mean, it holds a trove of powerful objects, but the association between those two is interesting. It's just, is this a sign that history is repeating itself in every single world? For example, Rhys holding the line being similar to the Crocans.
Mm-hmm. You're right, because there's so many different things where just like time frames of things are the same, like the same number. It's just different realities, same.
There's always ancient key players in this big old game called life. I want to know about the bargain between the Hewn City and Rhys. Like, Kier wants his people free from the mountain. The bargain our ancestors struck grants you the right to choose how and when your army assists my own, but it does not grant you the right to keep your life here when I grow tired of your existence. Like, why are obviously, like, they're fucking creepers that live down there, but, like, the Night Court has some space. Like, why can't they go out, touch grass?
No. And even just you saying the bargain our ancestors struck, and just him bringing up Thanatos in that moment, and just how more is, and then we're adding the Valg and the Princes of Hell. It feels like a coup.
And they're weird about bargains.
Mm-hmm.
So to make one.
And just remember how Moore was like, that you won't be able to do that because of the bargain. Like, he'd have no power there. It just makes me,
They're having this meeting with Eris, and Eris says something in the Court of Nightmares that makes me suspicious of hell. Of hell as hell. Also
Of hell.
suspicious of hell. But, like,
Always.
I'm not in a bad way. Like, Eris, maybe, like, I think you're good. Like, the way he says, too bad for you, I learned a thing or two about Dimati. Too bad for my brothers that I never bothered to teach them. It's giving, I only care about myself. It's not giving, I only care about myself. It's raising a flag of, like, I'm trying to eliminate the losers in my family. Like, I didn't teach them so they can be like, it's not his problem.
No, like, he knows his family's wicked and he's not into it.
Yeah, but he's got to be, like, a certain level of wicked to, like, pass.
Right. It's all front.
And then, see, this is where Feyre is, like, kind of leaning into Eris a little bit. Feyre was talking to him, and Eris is like, I was given an order and sent to do it with 2 of my brothers. And then his pale face flushed. He paused before he said, 2 of my ... brothers. Why was there hesitation when he was given an order and sent to do it with 2 of my ... brothers? Like, he was going to say something else, but still call them his brothers. Because, like, what if they are just some fucking experiments, those brothers? Because, like, there's so many of them.
Also, yeah, I'm going to be paying more attention to Eris and, like, some powers that we seek from him, only because we know the Lady of the Autumn Court was having an affair for a very long time. Who's to say only Lulu?
I do think Lulu is the only Helian son. I think Eris is Baron's son, just based on the magic, but his interactions with his brothers and everyone is actually, like, is interesting, like that, and not, like, pausing before calling them his brothers. Or maybe he just doesn't feel like they're emotionally his brothers and they're just blood.
Like, he doesn't want to be like, really, I'm not one of them, okay? Like, they're bad.
Or, like, yeah, it was a disgusted my brothers.
Brothers, yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, Eris also made sure Lucy made it to the spring border and wasn't there when his brothers killed Lucian's lover. Like, Eris, it's like his Eris knew and, like, had to walk away from those fucking shitty guys.
Yeah, because it would blow his cover.
You're gonna say load?
No, but he might want to blow his load.
Not with Moore, because he's like... And then he says to Moore, there are a few things that I regret, and that is one of them. But perhaps one day, now that we are allies, I shall tell you why. What it cost me. And I want to know, like, what it cost him. I want that one day to be, like, in our next book. Like, give me an Eris point of view. I love my slutty Autumn magic voice.
I am more interested in this one than your Crescent City Autumn one, just to be clear.
Well, you know that the Autumn King was hot. Like, don't even get me started on Colin.
Cares for Colin. I would much rather have Eris.
Okay.
For sure.
Eris or Colin?
Wow. What a predicament we're in.
Going Colin every time.
I know that Eris can dance, so I'm going to go with Eris. It's important to me.
Okay.
It's important to me.
All right. Lucian.
I just don't think that Karen gives a call. Karen? I meant to say Colin. I don't think he cares for Colin. I don't think Colin gives a care about dancing is what I tried to say, but I called him Karen instead.
Colin doesn't even give a care about Saviour, so.
He doesn't give cares. But we care.
Yes, somebody's got to care, and I do. I care about Colin, I care about Eris, and I think it's weird that Lucian called him a snake when Lucian himself is a fox.
Yeah, like, okay, game recognizing game is a little bit what that feels like.
Like projection much?
Yeah,
Like weird
fucking Lulu.
illusion. I do want to bring up the point again, like why does Baron have so many fucking babies? Like we know that it takes a little longer to conceive Feybays, but like why did you have 7 fucking well, you had 6 fucking kids? Like I just don't. I'm suspicious of the compound. Like, once again, are his kids failed experiments? Like, they tried and, like, evil just didn't quite root correctly. They remind me of the Shadow Twins from Crescent City
Mm-hmm. Yes.
because, like, they were, like, normal people.
Same
They're just
energy.
corrupted. Yeah. It's
Same
like
energy.
Eris was the firstborn, and so they didn't think about it, and then corruption took on all the rest. And then Baron hates
Hold.
Lucian because he's not corrupted either, because it's not his.
Well, and just like we've talked about, what the fuck is going on in the Autumn Court? Why are they so down below? And like, how are they able to have so many kids when they're supposed to be rare? Like, is this a steri magic making them more fertile? We know that the Daglasteri loves to breed. So is this the thing? Like, sounds weird. I'm not supposed to say weird, but something's weird.
Fertile Fred, he's suspicious. Old man.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about other weirdos. Amren.
Okay, stop.
Why is Azriel so weird about Amren still? It's been over 500 years. Like, call off your dog, Amren said with a lethal tone. Is that because she's playing the long game in the Night Court? She's still mad. She got locked in that prison.
We said during our Crescent City coverage that we believe Az knows more than he lets on. Even him just knowing about Annalius and those stories when things were so hush-hush makes you wonder. Also what is Amren? Lucian says, Amren is a bedtime story they told us as younglings to make us behave. Amren was who would drink my blood and carry me to hell, if I acted out of line. In A Court of Mist and Fury, when the Adder attacks Valaris, Feyre tells us that what Amren has done. With her dark power, she had spun illusions straight into the soldiers' minds. They believed that they had fallen into the Sidra and were drowning. The crueler, more wicked ones, she had unleashed their own nightmares upon them until they died from terror. She is older than Prythian itself. She was once a messenger and soldier assassin for a wrathful god, not Eris, and was imprisoned for a millennia in the prison. We know she's very uncomfortable in Crescent City, House of Flame and Shadow when Thea and Peleus were brought up. She can decode the Book of Breathings, the Holy Tongue. So who is she? Have we seen her in the Throne of Glass world? Where have we seen her?
I think I want to know more about Amren, but also, like, I do love the mystery a little bit. I don't know what I want more for. Like, more from her. I don't really want more from Amren, to be honest.
You like her being an international thing of his mystery woman. International woman of mystery, international. Yeah, what the fuck is she?
Like, her story with Varian wrapped up with the bow is perfect for me. Like, don't change anything about Amren's story. Like, I'll take some history, but I don't want to change, like, who she is now.
No. Yeah, I guess I'll get more. I do have thoughts about our girl Amren. I just don't know.
I do know that she was destined to be besties with Nesta. Bestie Nesty. Because
Totally.
it says, I was perfect according to some. I did not regret, did not mourn in pain. I did not experience it. And yet I wound up here because I was not quite like the others. Even as what I was different, too curious, too questioning. And Feyre this entire time has said Nesta was born different. So really, Amren and Nesta, different besties.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to think of, we said breasties for Bryce and
I know,
Nesta,
I was trying to think of a nickname for them, and
nothing happened for me.
Nestrin?
No, that's too much like Nezren to me from Throne of Glass.
It's a work in progress.
We're workshopping. We'll come back to it, but
we'll give you a nickname later, guys.
Okay. I guess we'll just end this episode because it's going to be a big part of book 6, I think. But Feyre asks, why couldn't they be mates? Referring to as an potentially evil Elain. I don't know. Jury's out. She asks Rhys, who decides? And he says, wow, I stuttered right there. He says, fate, the mother, and the cauldron swirling eddies. Feyre goes on that Tamlin's parents were wrong for one another, and so were Rhys's parents. Rhys says people can reject the bond. There is a choice. And sometimes the bond picks poorly. Sometimes the bond is nothing more than some preordained guesswork at who will provide the strongest offspring. Which I think is telling when it comes to Rhys and his mother and other things. The strongest offspring. So who was Rhys's mom? Really, it's a question. So if Elain rejects Lulu's bond, the bond will still follow her. It'll just be weakened. Right now, in this moment, what is your predictions for this bond of Elain? What do you want?
I want them to work it out. I want Lucien to be happy. He's a sad guy. I want Lulu to be happy. And so I want Elain to be, I don't want Elain with Azriel because of who we meet in Silver Flame.
Right.
I want that situation. I don't want him. I think that maybe they have a really beautiful friendship, Elain and Azriel. He just knows how to speak to her. And she ends up with Lulu. Figures it.
I always think about Feyre going through his mind and saying how sad it was. And even Rhys's comment ugh, that'd be awful to be in Lulu's mind. He's just this sad sack. Someone needs to love him.
He deserves love. Give him his mate. After what happened to Jasminda, give him. Don't give him Elain. Let Elain make the choice to be with him. But at least Elain, stop being a bitch and get the chance to know Lucien. He's a good guy, I think.
It makes you wonder why she's so hesitant. If she's a seer, what is she seeing that she's nay, don't want a part of it?
Or maybe that's why she doesn't, because she can't see the future with it.
Yeah, she can't. That's hidden from her. How certain things are hidden from people when they can't. Maybe she can't see it. So it's an unknown. She doesn't want to.
She's not
take that little.
Interested in entering the unknown, not into the unknown for her.
Into the unknown.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I heard what you were doing there. So I need everyone to comment about the incest twins. Do you think they're actually incestuous? But don't write incest in our Spotify comments.
We do not want people thinking that's the hot topic. I mean, it is a hot topic, but it's not our main topic. And that's not.
So I want you guys to get creative on how you write it in the comments. Also, give me your Elain predictions. What's going to happen here?
I want to know who the strongest Archeron sister is, in your opinion, people.
Oof, yeah. So you have a lot of homework, pals. Go right in the comments or DM us, but preferably comments. Actually, I want to talk about it too. So do both. Thanks. So thanks for giggling with us too for our journey. We have new episodes every Wednesday. Join us next week as we get into chapters 28 through 54 of A Court of Wings and Ruin.
Make sure you hit that follow button wherever you listen, and then head over to our social media and follow us there for all of our latest episode updates, theories, and more new book goofing. All of our links are in our info, you giggling gal pals. We will see you next week.
Bye.